And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
Liv is walking out with the title, bud.
Wow.
Liv is walking out with the title.
Very interesting. Okay. Cool.
All right,
that
dude.
Make me happy.
Here we go. We're going head to head. For fans that have not seen this, can you please explain the rules to head?
All right. Well, thankfully you put them down on this piece of paper for me, so I think I'll do all right. Went. Category 1 will be Mike skills. Mike skills, obviously. How good are you on that sledgehammer of yours? Can you keep the people engaged, or are they running to the bathroom? Category number 2, Matt skills. Goes without saying. Can you put on a great show, or are you just a punch and a kick? Category 3, back of the baseball card. It is what it is. I mean, how many championships have you won? Where did you win them? How did you win them? Blah, blah, blah. Well, not really how did you win them. This is wrestling. So basically, how many championships, et cetera, et cetera. That's the back of the baseball card. Category number 4, overall influence on the industry. What kind of imprint have you left behind, or other wrestlers copying you? How much did you change the business? Yada, yada, yada. And category number 5, it factor. With a mere glance, do you keep me engaged? Do I look at you as something better, special, different, or all of the above? That's the it factor. So there it is, Mike. 5 categories head to head, and we'll see who wins.
And that was well done, sir. The only gripe I have with you is you're a very unforgiving host, as you know that your partner is learning to produce better because he's from home, and you blasted through that, and I couldn't get the fucking screen up fast enough. But besides that, your description as a partner, you weren't the best. But hey, what can you do?
Jeez.
All right. So head to head, my friend. The great Ric Flair, number 16 World Championships, has held WWE titles, NWA titles, has traveled the world against the 16-time champion of John Cena. But John Cena has only worked for one organization, and we all know what organization that is. That's the WWE. And that's the story, and I'm sticking you down before I hand this over to you. But the first category is maybe, to me, the most important, but we don't do it weighted here, and that is mic skills. John Cena or Ric Flair on the mic, my friend?
Have we had draws in the past? I think we have. I know you hate that. You're probably going to tell me no right now, but have we had draws for categories in the past? I didn't catch that.
We have many times, yes, sir.
Okay, just I wanted to make sure. I'm going to give it a draw. I have to. This is one of the most impossible matchups we will ever have. I cannot say with a straight face that Ric Flair or John Cena are better than each other when it comes to the mic. If I had to lean towards one of them, it would probably be Flair. But when you're comparing a Ruth to a Ruth on a microphone, it really gets kind of silly. So I'm going to say it's a draw.
So, Jimmy, I'm going to shock you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to agree with you. This is a draw. It would be impossible to make that decision. There's not an A and an A minus here. They're just both A's. I have to give it a draw also.
They are. I hate to
All right,
do
next
it,
up, Matt Skills.
Flair.
Matt Skills, my friend.
Flair for so many different obvious reasons. Flair's just a superior in-ring worker. It's not close. John's always been serviceable to me. John's fine. John's solid at what he does. Ric Flair, not even close. Ric Flair is one of the great in-ring wrestlers of all time. It's Flair. Period.
Sure. So right now, it's not what you thought. It's 1-0 because we have a draw in the mix.
Right.
So I agree with you. All right.
Right.
I know I'm jumping out of space here, Jimmy, but the next one would be back of the baseball card.
Okay, this is another very, very difficult one. It really is to me, because it can be argued passionately for either side. It really can. The amount of championships Ric Flair has won in his lifetime is absurd. It's ridiculous. And territorial championships, too. And you know how important those were, Mike. It's not just the 16 world championships or the many times United States champion. There was the Mid-Atlantic. There was Georgia. There was all these other places, all right? And then there's John. And John won all of his titles in front of the biggest audiences in the world for the biggest company in the world. There's that. So again, I have to go with a draw, and it's painful to me to have to try to pick between the two because they're both the finest examples of the back of the baseball card from their genres. It's Ruth and Ruth. I won't do it. I can't do it. I just can't. I don't think one completely blows the other away at all. It's not one of those circumstances, you know. When you factor in John Cena's run from 2004 to now, with the audience and the growth of the company and everything else, versus Ric Flair and the audiences and the territories and all the titles and traveling and being the guy willing to do it. Because as we know, when we had some heroes on of ours, why didn't you ever want the title? I don't want that responsibility. Ric Flair always did. No matter what kind of lush he was or whatever he was doing behind the scenes. Didn't matter. The ultimate company man. He was. He did everything they asked of him. He went everywhere they asked of him. He won everything. It's a draw to me. The two time periods cancel each other out because it's ignorant to ignore the great past. And to me, it's ignorant to ignore the great career of John. I can't do it. It's a draw.
To add on to that, they're both 16-time champions.
Right.
I would say that you might want to give the edge to Flair just for the fact that he wrestled in multiple organizations and had a tougher,
Right.
I don't want to say a tougher schedule, but
Right.
I think as we did on the first one, I'm going to give it a draw. So Flair has it, 1-0 right now.
1-0. 1-0.
Then we're going to do the overall impact. I'll open this one up, okay? And then you can follow. Overall impact on the industry. Ric Flair had a huge impact on the industry, but let's be honest, it was regional. It was Mid-Atlantic, it was Florida. John Cena impacted the world. He made the difference in the industry. When we said Matt Skills went to Flair, this one, and it was a blowout, this one's a blowout. Cena, overall influence on the industry is undeniable. Ric Flair's greatest achievements came well after the fact when he was retired as an old man. He became more famous. So I think this is John Cena in a blowout. Jimmy?
I agree. I do. I agree. John Cena's impact, look, every wrestler now, and The Rock did start this trend, but Cena made it something where then Edge followed to do films. Many others followed to do films, okay? John Cena is the blueprint for what every aspiring young wrestler wants to be today. They want to make it in the WWE. They want to be champion. They want the love of the company they work for. They want the adulation of the entire world. They want to have a legendary, they would love to get into movies. John Cena is the blueprint for what every wrestler wishes they could live through. John had the dream career. He really did. And no, he didn't have to pay a lot of those prices that Ric Flair had to pay. But as far as the impact on the industry, it's pretty obvious. John Cena is not to go full circle, is a prototype. You see what I did there?
Very good. That was pretty good. I like that prototype. All right, dude.
Yep.
1-1. This is it. Down the line. No, we didn't really argue on so far. So far, we're pretty copacetic with each other.
Yeah.
It factor. Yep. It factor.
Yeah.
It factor.
Uh-huh. Flair. Flair.
Wow.
I'm going by the eye test, Mike.
Cena.
I'm going by the eye test. When Ric Flair in his prime would walk into the ring with those robes, with that hair, with that tan, with that nose, everything about Ric Flair, just huge, immeasurable it factor. Now, of course, my prejudice is coming in because I never liked John Cena's gimmick. Doesn't mean that it wasn't great. It was. Doesn't mean that it's not a legendary gimmick and it suited him perfectly. It was. It's just not my idea of it. All right? I get it. He does have huge oodles and oodles of it factor. But on my eye test, when the two of them are coming to the ring, if we're talking about in their prime, Ric Flair, and that's not Rick in his prime, by the way. Ric Flair, to me, in his prime, had more it factor than John Cena. I'm talking Starcade Ric Flair, obviously. Ric Flair's it factor was huge, and I'll use another example. When Flair finally got to the WWF and for the first time stood in front of Hulk Hogan, and he's looking up at Hulk Hogan. He's looking up at him, so he's already at a disadvantage on size. The second he opened his mouth, Hogan came right down to his size, if not shorter. Ric Flair is it in the dictionary for professional wrestlers. A prototype built off of Gorgeous George and then just enhanced like you wouldn't believe. I think Ric Flair had one of the greatest presentations in the history of this business. So I'm going to say Ric Flair, but no one would be wrong to pick John.
So I hear what you're saying, and you gave a great case. Unfortunately, I have to disagree with you. Ric Flair, in the greatest organization, the WWE, failed miserably his first time here. I understand they gave him the title. I understand he had maybe the greatest Royal Rumble win, right? I get all this. But to consider Ric Flair's run here, the first round, as being successful with telling revisionist history. Ric Flair's better turns in the greatest organization was well after his career was on the back end. Now, Ric Flair, the jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, whatever you want to call him, definitely has it factor. But John Cena, with his 24-inch arms, his superhuman strength, his rap on the mic, and again, it factor. Kids loved John Cena. The guy host Make the Wishes out there. That is part of wrestling. So I don't think it's a blowout, but I have to say, to me, John Cena wins this head-to-head battle. But, folks, unfortunately, if you've never watched this show, which you have on head-to-head, Jimmy is the star of the show. So if it turns out this way and it's that close in a tie, then guess what? It goes to Ric Flair. So Ric Flair wins head-to-head here, Jimmy. Not a bad show. Not bad for this old man trying to do a little production. I think I really getting it down now, but this won't be the norm. We shoot out of a studio, so things will be better, and obviously my mic will sound better anyway. All that being said, stay for the main show. We're back up in a few minutes here, and we'll be on our way. Jimmy, you want to send us out?
You've been watching This Week in Wrestling, and we'll see you in a few minutes on the main Monty and the Pharaoh show. Later.